Alright, so is point 2, 3 the circumcenter of the triangle with these vertices? So here, notice since this is the review package, I gave you the hint. Find the equations of the right bisector and substitute it in to see if it is the circumcenter point. On the test, you will not get this hint. All right, on the test, it won't be that. It will just be simply this question right here. So that's why you need to know from the first page the definitions of these. So circumcenter, it's right bisectors. So that's how I know I need to find right bisectors. Okay? On the test, it won't give you these hints. So midpoint of HI. So I'm looking for this midpoint. I have to use the formula. This is the formula. So x1 plus x2 divided by 2. y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So I get 5 minus 3, 2, 2 divided by 2, 1. 7 plus 3, 10, 10 divided by 2, 5. So my midpoint, 1, 5, which is right here. All right, and it looks pretty good. Next, I have to find the slope of this line, HI. I have to find the slope of this. So using the same points, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Subtract it, I get negative 4 over negative 8. I can reduce this down to 1 over 2. Remember, I'm looking for the right bisector, which means I make the negative reciprocal slope. What's the negative reciprocal of 1/2? Yeah. Negative 2. Good. Negative reciprocal. So flip it, make it negative. So you get that. Last step to finding the equation, I need to figure out what B is. So y equals mx plus b, sub in the values. So I'm going to sub in my midpoint, which is 5. Slope is negative 2. X value is 1. So when I move the numbers around, move it over, this becomes 5 plus 2 equals b. So b is 7. Okay. I have my slope. I have my y-intercept. Therefore, the equation of the right bisector, this first right bisector, y equals negative 2x plus 7. So this is my first equation. Remember, you are given a graph, so you can verify it to see if it makes sense. Okay, this is my right bisector line. Negative slope. Does this line have a negative slope? Yep. Does it look like it's going to go to a y-intercept of 7? Yep, 7 right here. Okay, so if I extend that line, it will go through 7. Yeah, so I feel pretty confident about my first equation. How many of you got this first equation? Awesome. Right. Second equation. Now it's just deja vu. I have to do it again for the other 2 points. Okay, it doesn't matter which 2 you choose. I just chose ij. So using points I and j, I find the midpoint. Negative 3 plus 2 over 2. 3 plus negative 2 over 2. So when you simplify it, you get negative 1 over 2 and 1 over 2. Okay. Go to my graph, half, negative a half, and a half. So right here. Right, looks about right. Looks like it's the middle. Now I do the slope between I and j again. So negative 2 minus 3 over 2 minus negative 3. So negative 5 over 5, which simplifies to negative 1. Don't forget negative reciprocal slope. So it's 1. Okay. Now sub it in. Sub in my midpoint and my slope. So a half equal, my slope is 1, my x is negative 1/2. So I get a half plus a half equals b, which means I get 1. Okay. My perpendicular slope is 1. My y-intercept is 1. So my second equation, y equals x plus 1. Okay. Looking at the big picture. Oops. That's true. Looking at the big picture, that's my midpoint. Okay. There's my second right bisector. Okay. Now so I think a lot of you guys got to this point where you got the first equation and second equation, and then you guys got stuck. So now what? Okay. Chapter 1. If I didn't tell you this, if I didn't ask you is point 2, 3 the circumcenter, what would you have to do with these two equations, right?
Oh, you mean like substitute?
Substitution or?
Put midpoints into marathon?
Yeah. So if I made it harder, if I made the question harder and just asked you for the circumcenter, you would have to do substitution or elimination given these two equations solve for x and y. But I was being nice and I actually gave you this point and asked, is this the circumcenter? So the question just became a lot easier because now you can just substitute this into this equation. So sub 0.23 into equation 1 and see if it satisfies it. Okay. So left side, right side. So left side of my equation, right side of my equation. Left side is y. Right side is negative 2x plus 7. Right? I just broke it into 2 parts. So y is 3. Right side, negative 2, 2 plus 7, and you get 3. So what does that mean? So what does that mean if left side equals right side? When I substituted this point, it satisfied this equation. So it means that this point is, what does that imply? Yeah? Yeah, your line goes through this point, or this point is on this line. Right? That was the purpose of you doing this. You have to make sure that this point was, in fact, on this line. Okay. Similarly, but it's not enough to say that that is the circumcenter. So then you have to sub it into the second equation. Right? Do the same thing. So left side, right side. Left side of the equation was y. Right side of the equation was x plus 1. So y is 3. Right side is 2 plus 1. So I also get 3. So that means this point is also on this line. And so if this point is on both lines, it means it's if the point is on both lines, then it means it's the intersection point. So 2, 3, right here. Okay. And so therefore, 2, 3 is the circumcenter. Okay. Now, you don't have to do it for the third set, for the third right bisector, because once you can show that it is for 2, then it will mean that it's the third one as well. It will satisfy the third one. Okay. So this example with all the full explanation took about 14 minutes, but this is like me going slowly with all the explanation. So for you guys on the test, no more than 10 minutes. Okay. Keep going. Any question on this? Does it make sense now? All right. Better sense? Yes. Let's pick up number 3 from the review package. So first off, I will need to find the midpoint of PQ. Midpoint PQ. So using the midpoint formula, negative 14 plus 2 over 2, 6 plus 0 over 2. So when you simplify it, you get negative 12, negative 6, and then 6 divided by 2, 3. So negative 6 and 3. 2, 4, 6, 3, right here. So this is point Y. Alright, looks like the midpoint to me. So pretty confident with my answer. Z, midpoint between PR. So negative 14 plus negative 10. And 6 plus negative 6. So negative 24 divided by 2, so negative 12. And 6 plus negative 6 is 0. 0 divided by 2, you still get 0. So negative 12 and 0. So negative, yep, right here. This point. And that's point Z. Okay, so, okay, there we go. So M, lower the slope. It wants to know that if it's parallel, if this line is parallel to this line. So whenever we say if something is parallel, we know we're talking about the slope. So slope of RQ, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So negative 6 over negative 12. When you simplify it, you get 1 over 2. Okay. Do the same thing, but now for yz. So these 2 points right here. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you get 3 over 6. When you reduce it, you get 1 over 2 as well. So since that both slopes are the same, we can tell that it's parallel. So that means this line right here is parallel to this line. This is actually a property of a triangle as well. I think you guys learned this, or you should have learned this in grade 9. Right? When you connect the midpoint of any triangles, this length and this length is it's parallel. All right. There's another connection between the length of these two sides. If you do the distance formula, what's the distance formula?
X2 minus x1 plus y2 minus 1.
All right, is Armand correct? Victor? Square. All right, so why I'm asking you guys this, because out of 30 of you, there's always 1 or 2 who would make it their own formula. All right, so make sure you memorize it. Because if you don't write the correct formula, even though you know what to do, the math is going to be wrong. It's not going to equal. So RQ. So x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1. Okay, so negative 12 squared, 144. And then this negative 6 squared, 36. So when you square root it, you get 180. Oops, sorry. Square root 180. YZ, using these 2 points for YZ. So same formula. So x2 minus x1 square, y2 minus y1 square. That's a 6. So you get negative 6 square, which is 36. And then negative 9 square, you get 9. So you get square root 45. Looking at this, how come it's not doubled? Well, if you check, actually, square root 180, square root 180, it's about 13.4. Square root 45 is actually about 6.7. So are they double of each other?
Yeah.
They are. Yeah, so it is doubled. Alright. So just because you see that square root 180 and square root 45, you're thinking, oh, it's not double. It's actually quadruple because it's 4 times because of the square root. So 45 times 4, you'll get the 180. It's because of the square root, so that's why. Okay. So if you're not sure, just change it to a decimal, and then you can see it more clearly. Okay. And actually, that is a property of a triangle as well. So I don't know if your grade 9 teacher taught you these connections, but yeah, when you connect the midpoint of a triangle with the other midpoint of a triangle, this line and this line is parallel. This line and this line is twice as long, and so this line and this line is equal. So if I say this line right here is 10 centimeters, this line is 20 centimeters. It's a property, so it's always true. Okay. So I think for number 3, it's pretty straightforward. Again, it tells you exactly what to do as well. Yeah, so you just have, it's just subbing in formulas for this question. Okay. Your homework tonight, rest of the package is not that many. Number 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 4 questions for homework. Alright, let's to start you guys off with this one. There's 2 different ways you can solve this one. What's the easiest way? What? Distance formula. What can you say about the distance? Yeah, Mohammed? Yeah. Yeah, if it's the same for all of them. If these 3 points are on the circle and this is the center, then that means from the center to any point, it should be equal. So you can just do the distance formula. What's the hard way? Yeah.
Right bisection of the chord.
Yeah. Goes through the center. Perfect. Yeah. Good job. Okay, so I just wanted to say that to start you guys off. So tomorrow, when I do homework check, you guys can't say I got stuck. Alright?